Well, hey, howdy, hey, Halloween friends and family. So we got some crazy winds the last few days, and I wanted to talk to you guys about how to lock down your stuff. So let's go talk about it. So let's start with our sign here. Beautiful sign. Hello. Came out pretty good. But what we're talking about here is how we lock it down. So I did a little bit of a foot on the front. Comes out not very far. And then it also got a spike in it as well. Then the back legs here, as my power's in there too. All those rocks I have to move out of the way. So, got a spike in there, and there's another one up at the top, and then that's connected there, and there's another leg there as well. And then I also cover it with all these rocks. It's very important because this thing is just, turns into a big giant sail, really. So, excuse me, having the rocks and the spikes are definitely huge help. And I know a lot of you guys live in areas where you have grass, whereas we live in the desert, we have rocks. I know it's going to be a little bit harder for you guys, so you just have to be a little bit more creative as far as locking your stuff down. Now, I use both of those spikes that we saw in the sign that are like a giant nail, basically. And then I also use, for lack of a better term, these flat iron stakes. I use the 18-inch ones. You can get these at any Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever, in the construction section. But for you guys that have lawns, these are going to be a lot better of a choice than just the nails, because they're flat, so they're a lot harder to kind of wiggle out than just the individual nail. Think of the wind pushing on this. Moving one nail back, it's going to be a lot easier than moving, something that wide or that wide back. I feel comfortable only putting one just because all my stuff goes into the dirt that's pretty hard out here with all these rocks too, as you can see. So for me, for a tombstone, one 18-inch spike is more than enough. But then obviously, the bigger the item, the more stakes I put. Now, another one to talk about is this guy. So this guy, he's just made out of a tree trimming from these trees right here. And then he gets one metal spike in him, which the screws don't even go in all the way. That's great. There you go. So he gets one big spike in him. And that'll hold him in, and then I kind of lean him up against the rocks as well, just because how tall he is. And then I have these ropes that not only look cool, but they actually do serve a purpose. So I have a rope going, 3 of them here obviously, and then going down to the ground with another one of those nail style spikes right there with a washer on it. And I've had it set up like this the last 2 years with the one flat spike and then the 3 nails, again into a harder ground than a grass, because obviously I'm not watering all these rocks, so the ground's gonna be a lot harder than a lawn. Anyway, but it stays up pretty dang well. I've never had it fall over once, and we've had 80-mile-an-hour gusts. All this, nothing has fallen over. Everything you see is as it was after the big windstorm that knocked down a lot of guys' almost whole haunts, So this is kind of why I wanted to show you guys. This is kind of my obsession with building in the desert is, locking everything down extremely well. Kind of over-engineering it, really. So like with the tombstones, I put the plywood on the back, and I do that with the spray insulation foam, the great stuff. And you just get your piece of plywood and your foam tombstone. Obviously cut out the shape first. And then you just spray the great stuff onto I would suggest spraying it onto the wood first. And then put your tombstone on top with a bunch of weights, nice and even. Let it sit for about a day. Good to go, baby. That thing's... With foam and wood, it's the best glue you can imagine. It's amazing. It really is great stuff. Oh, had to. Hey. All right, and then also, we don't use much creepy cloth here because, again, the wind, everything gets tangled into these trees. So I use these Dollar Tree chains. So they're ultra lightweight, but in the wind, even if the wind kicks really hard, I've never had to untangle one of these out of this tree, ever. Ever, ever, ever. And look, there's a ton. So, and I just zip tie them in there. Nothing fancy. So, just like that. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe try this way. There we go. So I go through, and you guys are probably gonna laugh. For setting all of this up, I almost exclusively use zip ties and twine. And then obviously the few stakes and nails and things that I showed you. Now I don't have wood panels, so obviously I'm not going through buckets of drywall screws and stuff, but for you guys that just want to lock down your props, zip ties. Zip ties, zip ties, zip ties. As you can see, I go through tons of them, but seriously, I probably, in this display this year, I've probably gone through 400 zip ties. Now that's, making some that are doubles, even triples to get around the tree because I use the 11-inch zip ties. But they work really well, especially if it's only going to be for, give or take 2 months. So the UV doesn't knock them down that fast, especially, where most of you guys live. They'll be fine, but just zip ties, zip ties, zip ties, and get the black ones, obviously, or if you're, working on something white, get the white ones. But they work really well, especially with these. My trees are kind of darker color. So at night they tend to blend in a little bit, and then obviously I'll throw some creepy cloth in areas that's not going to get tangled, but you have to make sure to kind of keep it tight. I don't know if you can see that too well. So this is actually an extension cord here, and this I think I just ran across, yeah. So that gave me something to hold on to, and then I just ran one piece across, wrapped it around, and zip tied it. I'm telling you guys, it works. Look, here's another one. So I just ran the extension cord and used the cord to hang cloth. It works good. I used to try to hide everything, and then I was thinking, I can use it to hang stuff on. So there you go. But here's more of my crazy amount of zip ties you guys see. So like this floodlight here, this black light floodlight, gets three or four zip ties strapped onto it. And then each one of those has, I think, 2 to get around the thickness of the tree. So, and then as I'm building these props, I keep the high wind in mind the entire time. Everything is built to last, and not necessarily just high wind, like, just being outdoor ready, I guess. So yeah, just always keeping that in mind. Like these candles, it's from a real lamp, so they're super heavy. So that's not going anywhere. I mean, that's probably at least 10 pounds. And then the frame of the pile of gold is all wood and stuff, and that's all locked in. That's not going anywhere. And then also when I was designing the pile of gold, I was kind of keeping that in mind, the shape for the wind. So that's why it's kind of like a triangle shape, because triangle is a relatively strong structure. And then it just helps better with the wind, kind of make the sides a little bit more slanted than straight. And I've never had a problem. Never fallen over, never been pushed over, and this is an 80 to 100 mile an hour gust, and I'm not joking by any means on that. So, and then this crate, what I do is this gets filled in with, like obviously I have a fogger in there, and then some speakers and some other stuff. We just weigh that down inside with a bunch of rocks and bricks, like these guys here. Then at night, because the bricks and my rocks are kind of all the same color, it all just kind of blends together. So, and then we'll go talk about the screen. This is our projection screen that I haven't quite had time to finish this year. But to lock this guy in, I didn't screw it into the wall at all. So it's got a bracket going across the front from each side to each side, then going up and across each side. But at the bottom, right here, I've locked them in to the side of the house, and then on the back side is the same thing. And then same over here, if you can see that, locking it into that little kind of pillar that sticks out of our wall here. So I'll show you the other side as well. All right, guys, so here's the back of the projection screen. So again, here's how I lock it into these columns. Just literally wrap it around. Nothing is screwed into the wall. Same thing on that side. And then I use these bag of rocks to lock them in. It works perfect. Again, 80, 100 mile an hour gusts. Nothing happened. Nothing moved. Nothing broke anything around it. So really, I guess, when you guys are building stuff, if you think to yourself, is this too much? Am I going too much extra? That's a good thing. I mean, some of you guys that your haunts and stuff fell over, just really be careful and just think about how, you brace everything, all your panels, make sure you're running 2x4s across, from hallway to hallway, and not just the hallway you walk through, If you have a backspace for actors or 2 hallways that connect or whatever, just over-engineer the hell out of this stuff. Just over-engineer your stuff, guys, please, please, please. All right. And then for some of my lights too, I just pile up rocks. It's the best wind-resistant thing. Just make a big old pile. And for you guys with lawns, I would suggest maybe using these river rocks. And then, in front of your tombstones, you can always put them in front like it's the pile of dirt or whatever from when they buried the bodies. You can always find these on Craigslist all day long for free, trust me. So that's one thing you can do. Same with this guy. He gets a couple big stakes in him, and I designed him again like a triangle. Tends to help with the wind. And then stake him down. Haven't had any issues. I think the only thing I had fall over was the monkey on the pile of gold. The glue came off. Other than that, everything's totally fine. All right, guys. Well, I hope you learned some stuff and you liked our tutorial on how to lock your stuff down in the wind. So please like and subscribe and follow us, and happy and safe Halloween and happy haunting. Bye, guys.